Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome back to the Realm of Inspiration. I am your host for Inspired Awakening, Kastalia Novatheo, the Elfian Realm Communicator. And I've had a few guests, and the guests recently have been the previous month, and recapping the month, and Inspired Awakening, just talking about everything that's been going on. But my other main guest is this recovery tea that my guardian angels gave me. The biggest theme of November has definitely been recovery and discovery, and how collisions can lead us to discovering things and ultimately helping us recover. I have needed to recover from a lot of things in this month, and there were a lot of discoveries, a lot of collisions, a lot of things brought to light. And I even had some roadblocks recording this. Not my normal space, not with my normal camera, no way to edit the video once I'm done recording it, so this is kind of like a one and done. So there's been roadblocks, there's been things, but what that's ultimately shown is things are going to go how they're meant to go, and we can't really control things and force things to happen the way that we want them to. I really got about 30 minutes into the previous time trying to record the recap and had an interruption that wasn't necessarily a negative interruption. It was a positive one, but I think sitting down and kind of just talking before having that interruption occur really put me in a better mind space for that conversation that ended up happening to be a positive one. And that is something that was definitely a theme in October that carried us forth in November and will continue to carry us, is mental clarity and just having more control over your mind and communicating yourself in the way that you need to communicate. And also being able to express yourself and feel safe being who you are and how you are in every connection. And if you don't feel like you can do that, then that's an indication that that connection may not be good for you, because it's not allowing you to be yourself. Now, I'm going to kind of go through the month of November is kind of similar to how I did October, and probably talk about things I already have talked about before. But this recovery tea is basically, I took a leaf of eucalyptus, a leaf of sage, and a leaf of thyme, and I poured hot water over it and let the water strain into my mug, and that made my recovery tea. And then I burned thyme, eucalyptus, and sage, and that offered some clearing and cleansing for me and for my space a little bit. The eucalyptus really helps with the peace and tranquility. The thyme helps with just detox, and sage with cleansing and clearing. So great herbs. I'm definitely going to do some more work with the earthy and elfin elementals and with herbs and things like that. But we'll see. There is some good news that happened in November. There's going to be quite a few more fairs that we're going to be doing, more events, more classes. I think at every single fair that I'm doing, I'm going to be leading a class or a gallery. So it's really exciting, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And opportunities, when they come your way, if you know that they're meant for you, definitely take advantage of them, and that's what I did, and that's gonna make this spring even more wondrous. So from March to May, and specifically April, we'll have the most stuff going on, and really looking forward to it. So keep an eye on our website, and we will advertise more things about that. I know that we did want to do this event on the winter solstice, more specifically my mother did. The healer of spirit, the angel spirit healer, that did not end up coming to pass, but I still want to do something on the winter solstice, so I'm still going to do a channeling. And really what's going to be coming out on the winter solstice specifically is I am going to be working with the crystalline Elfian elementals, getting a blog and a channeled video out, and that I've talked about a little bit before, about our crystalline connections and what they are, a little bit related to animal connections. So we also have herbal connections, herbs we have connections to, plantations we do. So definitely I'm gonna assume around the spring. I don't know when they're gonna want to do this, the elves. It'll probably be maybe next fall. we'll also do something about those connections as well, and truly just shining a light on the different ways that inspiration can help us with our connections with everything and anything. So around the winter solstice, or on the winter solstice, there's going to be 2 videos, the winter solstice channeling, the channeling about the crystals that I've yet to have done, and the blog will come out. So there'll be a lot coming out on the 21st, or the 22nd, whichever date that the winter solstice falls on. I can't remember entirely, but I think it's the 21st. It could be the 20th. One of those days, there's going to be a lot coming out, and those things found their way to me and what days that they wanted to come out in November, and the crystal one has been wanting to come out since the beginning of this year. So definitely coming forth now. A lot of that's in discovery and understanding when things are meant to happen. I had a bit of a struggle with time frequency in this month, and you would assume, hey, she channels, elementals of divine timing. You'd think she'd know. No, I channel them, but I don't always know things. I had in a conversation today, something that I was so sure of when I was younger that I knew about, and then discovering all these different things, and it was right in front of my face, and having discoveries literally happen right as my distraction from the video, like recording, and then the pause, the interruption, the positive interruption, and in that conversation discovering so many things about so many things. It just mind-blowing to me, but also showing me that there's so many things that I believed that I knew that I really didn't. And I also didn't realize how much the universe was showing me, kind of little hidden things, trying to tell me, and even in dreams, because I had a moment, literally the conversation, I'm like, this happened in this, I just had a dream about this. Like, I had so many of that happen in November, but literally right now, like, the phrase exactly, I had a dream about somebody else's experience, and then today them telling me their experience with something and saying these specific phrases, and me being like, they're saying it, that we just had this conversation, but in a dream. I had a few of that too, of like numbers being off. Like, I read a number for something, like, this is how many boxes are coming. And in the dream, nope, the number's gonna be higher. Coming in the morning to, my work, how many boxes came, it was more than what I was told it was going to be. Like, weird things like that where I'm having these dreams, and that was definitely showing me that discovery is such a big thing, and that messages are fully in our dreams too. A message that came forth to me in November from the dragons, when I was working on a project that's going to be coming out soon-ish, but it's having its stall because the first snowfall happened. So of course, per what the Elfian elementals say, when the snow happens, it's an indication to take a break, and relax and recharge. And once the snow has melted, that's kind of your indication that you should hopefully be recharged and ready to go and go again. Physically, my body has experienced some drains, some needing to physically recover as well. So I can't edit this video, so I'm just gonna take a quick pause. Okay, I'm good. Just having, like, I will tell you, thyme will make your nose run. You're like, and the eucalyptus and all of it, like, it's really like clearing any mucus, any phlegminess, any congestion. And I had that happen in a dream too. You look at that. So that literally, that sentence I said in a dream, something about phlegminess. Look at that. The dragons said that in our dreams, all the messages, everything we need to know comes forth in our dreams, and it's just about remembering them when we're awake. And that was like mind-blowing. And it was all about the tree of knowledge. That's what I was discussing with the dragons. And that definitely kept happening in November. Things were telling themselves to me, even months, years prior, all coming forth right now. And me remembering that I was already told it was going to happen. And I literally had a moment yesterday where I was fully pulled into a memory that hasn't happened yet. And it was showing me things that will happen if I don't give up hope. So definitely don't give up hope is another theme. But to go through the month again, those are like the general, let me clean the top of the plate. I don't know what metaphor I want to choose. Okay, so that's like the cherry on top of the ice cream. Let's dig into the ice cream and see what's going on. So November started full of different abundances. The energy of October was definitely more showing its face in the first week of November. And I think that the themes from the previous month definitely do kind of start to see their way out as the month progresses, and the month has its own themes, and it's like a cycle is what I learned throughout the process. I also learned that November felt like a really long time, but also not long enough. And I feel like that's been the general thing. I had an issue with time and rushing and time and just not accepting the way that things are going, but also being so caught up in what I can do in a short amount of time, what I need to do, what needs to be done. I have a reminder on my screen because I keep setting things for me to do, even though I should just take it moment by moment. But I was having a chokehold on time and what I need to do and trying to make things fit a specific time, but they're not going to. And things are going to happen how they're supposed to. And that's generally a lesson that came forth. In my human job, my human work job that I do to help me start to get on my feet, to do more channelings, more work like this, so that I can become my full-time job, hopefully soon. I just have an expensive budget of things I want to do. So I have to have obviously a source of income for that. Mainly all of it goes to that. But with that job, everything during like November and December is like a chokehold on time. And because that is like the conditioning in the working environment, especially during holiday seasons, that was carrying forth into my practices. And I really shouldn't have been carrying it forth into my practices. Even my relationships and connections with others, trying to put a time restraint on things doesn't work. And also not putting a time restraint on things doesn't work. I had a few moments of me not registering that my time was up for something and trying to force it to extend further, even though it was not needed and I wasn't meant to continue in that avenue, and having things trying to like, kind of pulling me back in. And I already stepped back, and I had that friendships that just ended, organizations that I worked with that my time expired with them, but kind of still trying to hold on a little bit and having to let go. And also just, if I have 15 minutes to do something, I have 15 minutes to do something, and I can't overextend, but also not trying to do too much in 15 minutes. Just understanding how to be in the present moment was such a learning experience in November, and is definitely something that I can feel is already carrying us forward, is being present. And that is not necessarily just carrying us forward into December, but also the winter season. And winter is something that we always try to rush because it's so cold and there's snow, and it can be a little inconvenient at times. And since we had the first snowfall, at least, where I am in the Midwest, in November, that is obviously an indication that is energy influencing at least the Midwest, but probably the rest of the collective as well, is we were trying to rush it, trying to rush the snow to melt, trying to, not accepting that winter is here, that the cold is here, and it's inconvenient, and we have to wear more layers, and it takes more time to do things, but that's just the season, and we always try to rush it. And definitely during this time is the time you want to kind of slow down a little bit more, because it's the time we try to rush the most, And it makes sense, because when something is inconvenient, we want it to be over as soon as possible, but maybe it's not inconvenient, it's just our programming telling us that it is. And that brings me to the next thing. So November had obviously some abundances, and my birthday, my new decade started, and my new decade started off on the wrong tire. Basically, and I've talked about it before, but I'm gonna summarize. I, on my birthday, was going to go work out, going to clear some excess energy, which is also something I definitely want to do today, but we'll see. I like to just release if I can feel it and just let it go. There are different ways you can release energy, and sometimes it's by talking, sometimes it's by getting your body moving, sometimes it's by drawing. It just depends. Workout doesn't necessarily mean physically. It can, be mentally, emotionally, things that help you clear. Clear again. Anybody else have this like never ending cold? No, it's clearing, it's releasing, it's releasing all of the toxins in the body, because I had a forgetting that sugar negatively affects my body moment, and I had a little bit more sugar than I normally would allow myself to intake, and that also had a negative impact on me, because I was like, oh, well, I don't really have, much time to go and grab, things that actually add nutrients to my body and help me recover. Let me just grab this piece of chocolate that is like sitting right here. It's right here. I can grab it. I can eat it. It's going to give me not as much fuel as I need, but it's going to keep me going for a little bit longer. And that was also like me, just like some things I need to slow down and take time. Like, I know what's good for myself, and just taking the easy way out can end up causing you to have to recover later, and ends up taking more time in the long run. So take a little bit more time to do what works for you, what's best for you, what's healthy for you, what helps you be a stronger, healthy, 100% you version of you, and you're gonna save yourself more time in the long run. I had to learn that the hard way, but it happens. Anyway, back to the car. I was going to do that, and I kind of scratched my brother's car and my car in the process. And, me more focused, I'm focusing on my mirror, and my mirror got hit, and I didn't notice what was going on behind, and I kept going, and, it was a journey of me being like, I need to put my car on somewhere else, we need to switch sides, because my mirror getting hit all the time isn't worth it. I was really hyper-focused on my mirror that I didn't realize all the stuff going on with my car. My car had everything possible going wrong with its base. Everything. Brakes, everything. I didn't know. And the thing is, I kind of knew, but I didn't know. I could tell every time I hit the brake there was a scraping noise, and I thought it was the bottom of my car loose scraping the concrete. But it was the brakes. And they went out on my birthday. Yeah, I don't even, thank God, thank St. Christopher, who, who I always call on when I travel, thank the angels, thank the elves, the dragons, whoever, thank everything possible that helped me, because it was miraculous. The brakes fully went out, and I was at one of the busiest intersections in our town. I was going to turn, but I couldn't stop and I couldn't turn. I went straight into the other turn lane across the way, and if there was thank everything happened on my birthday. So I scratched my brother's car. That was a great start to the day. And then that happened later when I was going to go to the salt cave to recharge with the Himalayan salts and just detox and cleanse, because even on the 9th of the month, I could already feel like I needed recovery. And I was going to go take a weekend trip to go to Tennessee and see my friend, and also go and visit some crystal shops, which were absolutely amazing, and so grateful for that experience, because connected with so many crystals that I never could have dreamt of, and such an amazing experience in general, and made me very happy. The car thing that happened was scary. I miraculously was able to get my footing and get the car to stop, and it took a little bit of a harder push to get the brakes to stop, but I got where I needed to go, and then I got home, and I received a message to do a protection on my car. They said, don't take it right now. Before you do anything, do an anchoring and protection with the car. And I later learned that if I were to have taken it, I wouldn't have had a car. I wouldn't have had any way to get to the airport. It would have been the worst timing possible if I went and I took it right away. I didn't even know where I was going to take it. I didn't even know what was wrong with it. I went to the place where I get my oil changed, which is like a quick stop place, and they can't really fix the whole under part of the car. And they told me exactly what was wrong with it, but they couldn't fix it. They had their guess. They're like, this is what I think is wrong with this. Here's where you need to go. They can inspect it for free, like told me exactly what I needed to do. I just had like 20 minutes till I needed to be at the airport. So I couldn't take it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to, risk it, take a 14-minute drive to the airport, and hopefully it'll be okay. It was okay. Left it there. And then I took it to get checked. And it made it, like, from what they told me, miraculous that it made it there. Really, the protections worked. It made it just in time to get everything fixed because everything possible was wrong. And it's a miracle I was driving safely with what was wrong. I got it fixed. I had an issue with relationship with human money because finances and how much it costs, and some things you think you can't afford it, but you can. You can't afford to lose it, can't afford to have it. Maybe you need to. And I was like, I don't know if I can afford to have my brakes fixed, but I need to have it fixed. I don't know if I can afford to lose the money I'm going to be losing, but I need to lose it for my safety, to have a car that works, to have a way of transporting myself, a way of doing things. And I had to get over all of those blocks and just be like, I'm going to take care of this. It's me, it's my car, it's my thing. I wasn't aware enough to try and take it to fully get checked when I heard the scraping 3 years prior. It had been going out for 3 years, and I was just unaware. There's so many things that we're unaware of until we're forced to pay attention to it. And while it is better to notice the problem when it's happening, sometimes it truly does take until we can't ignore it anymore to acknowledge it. And that was a big message, because that's even with ourselves. There's so much that we ignore and we won't acknowledge until our nose is running and our body's aching and we can't walk on our feet anymore and we can't move until we're so sick we're bedridden, which I had that moment happen last weekend, I think, or 2 weekends ago. I had it happen. I woke up and I could not get out of bed that whole day. I was bedridden. I didn't notice there was anything wrong with me until I couldn't move. That, terrifying. So I'm like, what is going on? My body was crying, telling me, you need to stop moving. Same way my car, when it was screeching, was crying, you need to fix me so you can keep moving. So that situation taught me quite a few lessons. Sometimes you need to, let's see, I got a distraction. Okay. Sometimes you need to have a scrape happen. You need to have something happen that's a little inconvenient to show you other things. If that scratch didn't happen, I would have paid attention to my car. I was paying more attention to my car that day. I was like, please tell me what's wrong with you that day. And it told me what was wrong with it. Sometimes we're so distracted with things that we don't notice other people. I was so distracted with my mirror that I didn't even notice my brother's car. or what had happened or acknowledged what had happened until I was far away from the situation. Sometimes we also beat ourselves up for someone else. We're hurting ourselves to protect them. And that's not good either. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. Don't be overly focused on your life that you don't acknowledge others. Don't be overly focused on others. You don't acknowledge yourself. And finding the balance between all of those things is the key to self-mastery, to understanding truly harmonious connections, which are a way for us to fully step into the light and release how the darkness can weigh us down from our truest potential. Understanding our relationship with ourselves and others is such a big theme moving forward, and something that showed itself to me. Even the notification distraction that happened right now as I was speaking showed me that distractions, we can get so hyperfixated on them. There's a deeper message, there's a deeper lesson, there's a deeper thing going on, and we can get so focused on that one notification that we don't notice the bigger picture. And it's okay, and it happens. Sometimes it takes fully removing yourself from even your own situation, your own life, and seeing things from an outside perspective, from a higher perspective, to understand the overarching lesson and message and everything. Even the things that are telling us that life is random. But some things aren't random. Like my guides specifically telling me to do a lengthy protection on my car so that I could get it to the airport, so that I could get it in the right timing when I had enough money, when I had enough mental stability to be able to handle the situation in a place where I had a day off work the following day so that I could have the car be fixed during that day and I didn't need my car that day. So things happen in the right timing, the way that they were meant to happen. So that way it wasn't inconvenient. It was exactly what was meant to happen, even though it could have seemed like an inconvenience if you're only focusing on the bad situation. So that was the big bulk of my month, was my car. And, also boundaries, because I did a channeling about boundaries and understanding boundaries. And it's continually being a theme. And it's going to continue moving forward. Like, I used to have a boundary where I would not record a video if I have a runny nose, but some things need to be said. And sometimes you need a break to think, so your nose runs so that you can take that break to think. And sometimes it's really the time. Anyway, boundaries. I had my boundaries crossed a lot, and I had to understand my own boundaries with myself and with others. A big one, when I recorded the boundaries video, I was like, I set a very firm boundary that I was so proud of. But it was a boundary from not understanding the other person's perspective. And from my perspective, I was being disrespected. So I needed to set that boundary for them to understand how I was feeling so that they could finally tell me, well, this is my perspective. Because when nobody's giving you any reason, any explanation, and they're constantly violating a boundary that you set, obviously it's going to be like, come on. And it was a thing that continued. What I learned when it was finally breakdown moment, I kept setting my boundaries. I kept being like, no. And then they finally understood that I was done being disrespected. And they respected me enough to explain everything. And I understand the pillar of forgiveness that the elves talk about and spiritual happiness and understanding truly spiritual joy as well. Forgiveness is a big thing. And also understanding all sides of the story. And I set, that boundary with them that keep being honest and we're okay. and the boundary with myself, then had I not waited as long to start being so firm in, respect for myself and telling people when I feel like they're being disrespectful, I would have found the solution sooner and I wouldn't have reached a breaking point. So now when things bother me, I have to speak up, because if I don't, it's going to cause a breakdown. So when things are bothering you, say it in a respectful way. Because every time I went about it in a way that was disrespecting them back, I didn't have the solution. But I went about it from a way of like, you just aren't telling me things and I don't understand. And from my perspective, it feels like there's something going wrong, like I'm doing something wrong. So can you be honest? Can you tell me? I just want to understand what's going on. Going about it from a nicer way, from a compassionate way, from a place of love, not fear, you're going to have the solution and you're going to have the answer. But fear is going to cause you to try and make it happen when you want it to happen. I got my answer not when I wanted it to happen, but when I needed it to happen. Because I needed to have those moments of reflection, of fully understanding my boundaries, my respect of self, and how much disrespect am I willing to take till I say something, and how much I took, but I shouldn't have waited as long. So in those situations, approaching it from love, you're gonna have the solution and the understanding better than when you approach it from fear. Fear is gonna try and rush it. Fear is gonna be pushy. And fear is a necessity. It's a lesson. Lessons are a necessity. I don't know where that came from, because love is also a necessity. But without fear, we wouldn't know love. Love pulls us out of fear. It's the same with the good and the bad. The bad is a lesson that leads us to discovering the good, and the good pulls us out of the bad. Even the negative things that happen are a necessary part of life because it helps us learn, it helps us find the light, and it helps us find love. We wouldn't have all of the things that make us human. We didn't experience all the things that we wished weren't a part of life. It develops who we are. And in this current reality, it's necessary to evolve. To evolve to a reality where we are fully in light and love, we have to exist in this reality first. And we can't force our way out of it. We can't rush the process. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. It's going to happen in whatever incarnation it's going to happen. We can't force it to happen. And we can't treat the bad like it's not meant to exist. Because it's completing its purpose the same way that the good is. It's doing its job. So is the good. Because we live in a polarity. Bad is a lesson. The good is our way out. It's the reward. I had a meltdown at my human job because of a disagreement. It needed to happen. Because I was programmed, I can even say I was taught, I was programmed as a child to not cry in front of others. Especially in a work environment. More like in my parents' work environment. More like my biological father's work environment. I think my mom let me cry in her work environment. I would be like sick as a dog in her office, and she didn't care. But there's a difference, there's a polarity. But I programmed from my father, don't cry in front of people. Ever. It's not okay to do. Put on your sunglasses, walk to the bathroom, make yourself look presentable, and then talk to people. The sunglasses. My shield. My shield that I literally could not live without them. I was a kid, always had them on my head in case I cried. To cover. Yeah. To protect myself. From other people seeing my vulnerability, which is my greatest strength, which is our greatest strength, our vulnerability. I let myself cry. And I learned there's so many compassionate and supportive people, and I have a safe environment around me that people want to help, they want to support. Just have to allow them to and not push them away, because I had the egoic voice trying to push them all away. No, I'm okay, I'm fine. But the inner child that I'm integrating is screaming, let me integrate, cry, let them support you. Know that you're not alone. So I had to let it happen. And it was the most uncomfortable thing I had ever done. Like, trying to clean that on camera also. No, that was probably one of the most uncomfortable things, was allowing that to happen. But I had to, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be my best self. I'd be faking it, and then I wouldn't be able to talk. Because if you're faking it, you're blocking your communication, your truest, authentic self. And then I can't channel, I can't be a communicator, I can't do these videos, I can't do anything if I don't allow myself to express in the way that I need to, the way that my body's telling me, the way that my mind and my emotional body is telling me I need to express. My body wants to express by running its nose. So I have to let it do that, and I can't stop doing everything because of it and hide. It's like, it's how it's expressing. It's how it's gonna do things. It's okay. It's also knowing when you need to recover. And all those experiences that happened in the month of November taught me that I need to recover. But also showed me that all the people around me were going through something similar. The stupid little petty fights. Excuse my language. The silly little petty fights that I was having in my romantic relationship. Everybody was having them. The silly little disagreements, the sick as a dog feeling, everybody was experiencing them. And it showed me we're all going through the same thing in a different way. And we need to lean on each other instead of isolating ourselves. And also we need to take a break. Knowing that I'm strong enough to do these things. Maybe my coworker needs a break, so I'm going to let them take a break. And know that when I need a break, they'll have my back too. And that's just in life. Supporting people when they need a break. And trusting that they're going to have your back too. And when they do, trusting there's no ulterior motive except we are humans supporting humans. And we know we're going to support each other no matter what, and still support each other. Not, oh, well, you needing this is inconveniencing me, so no. That's a big lesson. Supporting others and trusting they're going to support you when the time comes, and knowing it's just coming from a place of love and support, because that's what we need. So that kind of feels like the conclusion of this reflection. So until next time, stay inspired, sending you love, light, and inspiration. This is the recap of November, the themes moving forward. A lot of discovery, a lot of recovery, a lot of acceptance and understanding, and necessary collisions. They're gonna happen. Things aren't always going to be harmonious. But in order for the harmony to happen, we need to learn the lessons from the collisions and not allow the collisions to knock us further into the darkness, but allow them to let us walk into the light with clarity and understanding for ourselves, others, and the circumstances of the world. So, stay inspired, sending you love, light, and inspiration. Goodbye for now.